everyone, and welcome back to the Midwest Stitches podcast. My name is Danielle, and this is my podcast all about my crafty life. That's how we're going to say it now, since that encompasses crochet, knitting, sewing, or whatever. So today, we have coffee. This is being filmed November 30th, so I'm holding on to the last days of fall, if you will, before December 1st hits tomorrow. So cheers. Today I have a little bit to talk about. I have some technically half-finished objects and one whip that's so close to being done. So grab your beverage, whatever that is, whatever that is, wine, coffee, water, whatever. And let's chat. So you can find me on Instagram at midwest.stitches or on my website at midweststitches.com. Not really on Ravelry. I'll kind of talk about that later. That was a discussion I had with a friend of mine. So let's see. Today, I guess we'll start with the half-finished objects, obviously. All right, so my first one, in no particular order, is this sock. And I finished all these over the weekend or last week for my hashtag Clear the Needles November cal that I was doing. That ends today. So maybe by the time you see this, that'll already be over, and I'm drawing 2 winners. I'm going to show the prizes here in a minute for those. But so this is from a sock blank from Gale's art called I Want My Mummy. And I talked the last time about how I was these all were kind of experiments with like the heel turn, the heel flap and stuff. I did variations. So this was the one that I didn't do the slip stitch pattern on. This is just plain stockinette. And I don't know if it's the sock blank fabric where it's kinked up, so maybe it makes a bit of a tighter fabric, but it actually fit my foot really well. So I don't know if that's going to be true of regular yarn where you know, it's not in a sock blank already, if that makes sense. So that actually worked out really well. So I think the slip stitch, obviously it's for reinforcement and durability, but I think it's also an aesthetic thing that people enjoy because it looks pretty. So there's that one down. And then this next one is also from a Gale's Art sock blank. This is Pumpkin Patch. And this one I did do a slip stitch, heel flap. And all of these I do 64 stitches, 2.25 millimeter needles. I think that's what fits me the best, the size so far from what I've knit up. And this one, it fit me really well too. I had no issues with fit. And I think for some of them, I actually experimented with the toe. Because I think some of them I did, was it that one? Some of them I did, like, I decreased down to 12 stitches. Another one, I think I did 14 and 16. And then I was following the Crazy Sock Lady pattern for the first one, which I'll get to here in a minute, where I decreased all the way down, I think, 6 stitches on each needle and did her rounded toe. And so anyway, just trying to figure out what shape I like for my foot. So there's that. I'm really pleased with that. And then this next one, this is from a mini kit from Pumpkins and Wool called Her Halloween Party. And this one I actually did a pattern. I talked about this last time. I did the String of Lights pattern from Sock Witchery. And this was the last one that I finished out of these 4. And obviously I was trying to do the whole foot in purple and then do just the toe in green, but I obviously ran out of the purple because they were 20 gram minis. So if I had done a shorter leg by about, I think 10 rounds or so, would have looked a little better. But this one, I don't know if you can see here. I don't know if it was the patterning at the top or me switching yarn or whatever, just when I knit it, because it was like furious knitting, like so fast and just trying to get it done The tension here is really off. So you can see the tension here is pretty decent. And then up here in this green, it just kind of went off the rails. So I don't know. I liked the pattern, so I don't think it's the pattern. I think it might have been the yarn. I mean, it's a 75-25, like most of these that I'm using, but it feels looser, just the yarn itself. So I don't know if that's my tension, the pattern, the yarn, I have no idea. But I still like it. It still fits me. So yeah, there's that one. The next one in this will be the orange and grayish black that I talked about. I haven't decided which way I want to do that. I think I'm leaning towards the grayish black for the leg and the foot, and then the orange as the accents. So we'll see. I'm going to talk about sock construction and my thoughts here in a bit. So my last finished object, if you will, half finished object, is this one, which, oh my gosh, I'm in love with this so much. This is from Ritz Fiber. I don't have any of the tags here because all my bags for it are over here and I don't want to grab them. So this is from Ritz Fiber, and this is her Halloween Town colorway, but obviously I think she should rename it Hocus Pocus, but that's just me. So this one, oh, this is the one I actually did 16 stitches for the toe. That I know I don't like. That was too many. I think I'm leaning more towards a 12, like 12 on each needle, so 24 at the end. But this one fits really well. I had no issues with it, and this was actually the first one that I finished out of the 4. So you can, I think you can kind of see like the progression of tension in the yarn. Like this one is really, really good, and slowly as I went on. And the sock blanks aren't a good measure of that because I talked about this in the last video. My tension is kind of all over the place with that. And I think that's just kind of a common thing with sock blanks because of the kinked up yarn. I was having a hard time keeping it tensioned in my fingers. And so we'll see. I have a few more sock blanks that I need to use. And I actually have an idea for the leftovers once I get the second socks done. So anyway, there's that. So that sip of coffee. Oh, sorry. I have you guys on a table, sort of. If you could see my very janky setup. I have one whip, which is exciting. I mean, I have other whips. My shawl, my Hocus Pocus shawl. And a hat that I talked about a while back that I'm not going to work on right now. I actually ordered different yarn for it because I wasn't happy with the yellow. So anyway, this is my cowl that I'm trying to finish today. So we'll see. You might see pictures of it on Instagram before I get to show it on here again. But I've actually made quite a bit of progress. I'm proud of myself. So this is my round and round cowl. And here's the yarn caked up. This is from Expression Fiber Arts. I think the colorway was Friendly. And it's on her Cash Silk sock base. So it's cashmere, nylon, and silk, I think is what it is. So it's really, really soft. And I think last time I showed this, here's my progress keeper. Oh gosh. I did about 2 rows after that, after the last time I showed it. So I did all this since the last time. And I talked on Instagram about how I did some math to figure out how much I needed to do to finish it by today. And then last night I redid the math and I was really off. So it's a good thing I redid the math because I would have ran out of yarn way before I got to finish it. So by my calculations, as of filming this, I haven't worked on this yet today at all. I have 30 rounds left of the patterning, and then 8 rounds of ribbing in the bind off. And that should give me roughly 5 grams or so left as kind of a buffer. That's how I figured in the math. I just wanted to make sure that I had enough yarn for the bind off. I didn't want to chance it. So there's that. So that's all projects in the works done. The second socks for all those, I'll go ahead and talk about it now. I think what I'm going to do is host kind of I can't even say it, participatory cal on Instagram. And I think I'm going to call it like Second Sock January or something. Or I might do something different if other people have other projects. So like for December, I'm going to talk about here in a minute. I have quite a few projects that I want to cast on, of course. And I'm hoping that I can get the majority of them done. But like for these second socks, I don't want to just leave them as singles, obviously, because what's the point in that? So my intent is to do my December projects, concentrate on those throughout, and then come January, work on the second socks or whatever whip is left over. So, I guess we'll kind of roll into, I wanted to talk about my Christmas project. I wanted to show that. So I'm going to do Christmas projects, new stuff for the shop, which I'm kind of wearing one, or I am. And some experiment that I made, and then the prizes for the cow. So I'll talk about the stuff I want to cast on tomorrow. So this, I showed this yarn, I think last time, and I've caked it up. And it is, oh, let me show it there first. Boughs of Holly. Oh, wow. Hello, sun. Oh, gosh. This is from Daisy Stitch Co. And this is her Boughs of Holly colorway. And this is what it looks like caked up. So these are obviously going to be socks. I did not intend to split these into two separate skeins. When I was winding it up, bag there, it got a knot in it. So I don't know if I did it wrong, like, because you know you have to undo it a certain way, whatever. You all know that. It got a knot in it, and I couldn't get it out because it was knotted to the point where I would have to take the cake off of the ball winder and undo a bunch of things. It was just a mess. So I just cut it and said, screw it. I was going to make them into socks anyway, so whatever. But they actually ended up being pretty even. I think one is like 47 grams and the other one's like whatever's left of that, 40 something. Can't math. So anyway, for all of these, I have stitch markers that I picked out from my stash that I made. And this one I'm going to mark with this cute little peppermint one, which I do still have some of these in my shop if you're wanting those. And everything that's in my shop, I just ended a big sale, but everything that's in my shop, if you see something that you want to order, oh gosh, this is unraveling. If you see something that you want to order, it is ready to ship. So it will ship either the same day that you order it, depending on the time, or the next day. I don't wait on that. The post office is like 2 minutes from my house, so I just drive the orders over around lunchtime every day if I have any. So anyway, these are going to be socks. And then, let's see, what do I want to talk about next? Oh, we'll talk about most of what I'm casting on is socks. So I have these in my snowflake bag. I have a couple, I think I have one of these, maybe two left in my shop. And it's got this cute silver snowflake fabric. So these are going to be socks for Adrian, for my boyfriend. I'm going to try and surprise him. He already saw the yarn and knew they were going to be for him, but I'm going to try and make them when he's not at home so that I can surprise him on Christmas. But I have this caked in my Holiday Llama yarn cozy. So this yarn is a sock set that I bought from Granite State Yarns. Glorious Christmas is the main color. And then you have Ralphie and Randy. So those are going to be cast on tomorrow, hopefully. And I mean, I'm so like, my motivation to get that cowl done is like super high because I want to cast on all of these things. And it's kind of like, oh, I don't want to do that until I get that done. Because that's basically what happened with that cowl is over the last year, you know, after I started it, I started other things. And then of course I started sewing and making bags for my shop, and it just kind of like went downhill from there. So, and those didn't get a lot of love. Or the cowl didn't get a lot of love. So that's why I'm really determined. I don't want to carry that into the new year. That's something I'm really stuck on. So this next one, obviously another sock. It's in my Grinchmas bag. Still some of these in the shop too, if you want to grab one. And this is actually in my snowman yarn cozy, which I'll show it the right way. This one was an experiment. I did the yarn cozy upside down, put the tag. Yeah, I figured it out now. Sewing those in when there's a pattern in a certain direction, a little more difficult than you think. So this is from Zebra Yarns, from my friend Anna. This is her Grinch colorway, and it comes with this cute little red mini. It's for heels, toes, and cuffs, which is what I'm gonna do. And I was actually thinking at first that I was gonna do those 2 at a time, but I think I might have changed my mind, only because I already have it caked up. And that's not a big deal to split it, but you know. And then this one, this is in a bag I have not shown yet. That's for me. This cute little Grinch window bag. You can't see it. Oh, there you go. With my 2 cakes of yarn in there. And then I have my progress keeper that I'm going to use. This actually came with the, oh gosh, good Lord. This actually came with the yarn, this little Christmas tree. This is from Lofty Loops. I'll pull it out here in a second, but here it is. Here's this bag. It's got a green zipper, if you can see that. I love this so much. And this cute green gingham. It's so lovely. So anyway, I got this last year from Lofty Loops yarn. This is her Christmas Cheer colorway from 2020. So I actually bought 2 of these last year because it was so pretty. And I have them in here and they fit really nice. So this is actually, if you're familiar with the Daisy Girl and Company, yeah, that's her bags. I bought this pattern from her. So I don't take credit for this pattern. I bought it on her Etsy shop. It's for this size. So this isn't a size she sells in her shop. She sells what I would consider a medium and a large size. So this is a small, but the small, as you can see, fits the cakes in there just as comfortably. You just don't have any extra room on the sides for like a Notions tin or anything like that, which isn't a big deal for me. I just like shove it in there anyway. So anyway, these I actually want to do 2 projects with, which probably won't be done this year, but my intention when I bought this was to do a pair of socks for me and a pair of fingerless gloves. So like the fingerless glove that I showed that I finished the last time, even though I need to do the second one of that too, but I'll probably do the socks, but not the gloves this year. So, but that's okay. So yeah, there's that. I'm super excited about this. And I think it's so cute. Yep. And of course, you know, the gingham, I just have to show it off. But anyway, that's kind of my first window bag. I know I showed, because the prize ones I made for the cowl, I'm just kind of all over the place. Who cares? Are made like this, but with different Grinch fabric. And I had a couple people ask me if I was going to make them for my shop, if I was going to later on. I'm contemplating it for a Valentine's bag because I only have a little bit of fabric, and those bags are actually perfect for shorter cuts of fabric because of the way it's constructed. You don't need as much, but I need to fiddle with the pattern a little. That one I made originally, I thought I did it wrong, and I think I did slightly, but then when I did the prize bags, which I'll just go ahead and show them because I'm talking about them. These are the prizes for the cowl, along with a yarn cozy of your choice. I'll be picking those winners tomorrow. How cute. But when I made these, here, I'll show it. When I made this one, you know, I was like, oh, I think I made it wrong. But if you can see, this one, they turned out a little bit taller. Even though I feel like I cut them the same way, yeah, so I need to fiddle with the pattern a little because just for my sewing preference, I think I need to add a little bit of width, just a tiny bit. So anyway, if you know anything about sewing, that will all make sense to you. But yeah, so if you're seeing this today, I'm gonna try and post it today. Make sure you get your projects in for the hashtag Clear the Needles November so you can be eligible for those prizes. Yeah, I'll be drawing tomorrow and I'll be announcing that on Instagram. We're good there. So anyway, the reason I said that I was not going to do these 2 at a time now is because I already have those 2 cakes of the Lofty Loops. So it would just be easier to do those 2 at a time. But we'll talk about that. And then the last, well, actually I shouldn't say the last one. The last one will be in the mail section here in a second. But this is kind of the last one I have in a project bag at the moment. And one I can't talk about because it's a present for a friend and she watches this. So I don't want to spoil it. This is actually going to be another round and round cowl. I talked about how I had some Christmas yarn I wanted to use. Look at that. Oh my gosh. It's so amazing. Like, I don't think the camera is going to pick up the shine on this. And I'm using this cute candy cane stitch marker that I made because it matches. But those reds and greens, and so this is, I do have the tag. Again, this is from Expression Fiber Arts, and this was one I got last year on clearance or sale, I think. It's her Holly and Ivy colorway, and it is on her Oasis fingering base, and it's 50% camel, 50% mulberry silk. So it is like so soft. Like, it is silky, obviously silk, shiny. I mean, I have no idea how this is going to work up in a round and round cowl. And what I mean by that is how slippery it's going to be on my fingers. Because the cash silk, I've been having a little bit of problem with that, like keeping the tension on the yarn in a good fashion, because it does have a little bit of the silk in it. So it kind of like glides through your fingers like butter. So anyway, this is 100 grams of that. So I know once I finish the other round and round cowl, that will tell me exactly, because I'm also marking on that one. I didn't show it. That's what I want to talk about. I'll show it now. Oh my goodness. I just have a feeling every episode's gonna be like this. So if you don't enjoy that, I don't know. So anyway, when I'm done with this one, I need the needles to start that one. So that's kind of my motivation too, is I can't start my Christmas cowl until I get this done. So what I was talking about is I'm marking down the front here every 10 rounds, kind of like on a sock, because I'm going to write down how many rounds that this takes, because this is also 100 grams. So that will keep me on track for that, so I don't have to weigh and measure like I did with this one. And also I talked about last time how I kept messing this up. I figured out the secret, and it's nothing revolutionary. It's kind of a duh. Like, I should have done that all along if I was messing up the pattern, or this was the first time I did this pattern. I should have done it to begin with. I placed markers every pattern repeat. If you can see that all the way around. They kind of blend in. But anyway, every pattern repeat, I placed a marker at the beginning. And that, I mean, I should have done that all along. It's been so amazing. Only had one mess up. I'll show it here. If you can see right here, right there, I dropped a stitch and tried to pick it back up. And this is not an easy pattern, in my opinion, to pick up stitches if you drop them, because one round is a plain round. The next one is a pattern round. So if you drop it, depending on where you drop it, it's going to be on a pattern. And of course, there's like, Anyway, so, but doing that, putting the stitch markers on there, oh my gosh, that's been so awesome. Like I don't need the pattern anymore. I have it memorized now to where I know when I hit the marker, I start the pattern repeat and I work all the way through to the next marker. And that has just made doing all of this that I've done over the last couple of days so quick. So I know that I'm going to do that for that one. And the pattern itself, it's super easy to memorize, but I think because I couldn't tell where I was when I was previously working on it and I kept messing it up, I think that was wise because I didn't have anything to indicate, you know, and of course, you know, read your knitting and all that stuff, and I tried to do that, but I couldn't figure out where I was in the pattern and I kept screwing up the counts. And so that, best advice. And I just kind of like thought of that one day. I'm like, well, can I do that? And I just put some markers in there and it worked out perfect. So, yeah, so that's that. When I get that done, I can cast on this cowl. And I need 2 Christmas bags. I might have to steal some from my shop collection for the 2 projects for the Daisy Stitch Co. socks and then these other ones that I'm going to talk about here in a minute. Okay. So I already posted about this on Instagram and I know everybody has seen it. But I got my Cozy Knitter Advent skeins with my mini, which I already caked up because this was not, you know, no one yell at me, but this was not in a package. It wasn't a surprise mini. So I caked it up. I'm really, really hoping if I can finish my cowl tonight, I'd love to start on these and then cake these up tomorrow, which I can't wait to open this. This is my first year participating in this. And I ordered that in July when it came out. So I'm super excited. Oh gosh, my camera, you're leaning. Okay, so that leads us into mail. Okay, so I got this yesterday. I'll show this first because the rest, I have a little bit. So I got this beautiful yarn from Birch Grove. And it's an 80-20 fingering mix. But this is called Autumn. And I saw this on her Instagram and how it knit up. And I just thought, that is just, it was such a unique to me colorway for an autumn because a lot of times fall colorways are either like Halloween inspired or like the bright reds and oranges. And this to me was definitely more muted fall colors. So, definitely more of a neutral palette, I guess. But yeah, so that's from Birch Grove out of Canada. And then I couldn't help myself. If you guys saw the pictures of these socks that the Crazy Sock Lady did, I just had to buy the yarn. And this is Deep Dyed Yarns, Strange Brew. And she was dyeing up more of this and I saw it and I had to grab one. So I ordered it and I cannot wait to knit this up because I saw how Kay's turned out and I was like, those are like the coolest Halloween socks I've ever seen. So yes, I love the deep purple and the orange and just, yeah, I can't wait to make those next year. Or whenever I want to, because no one says you have to knit certain colors at certain times of the year. You can knit them whenever you want to. Okay, so the next batch, I call her my good friend. My good friend Anna from Zebra Yarns, we did another swap. She had some bags she had her eye on. And so I was like, yeah, sure, we can swap. And she's like, well, what colors do you want? And I'm like, well, crap. I don't know. I'm like, I have enough yarn for me, and colors I like. I need yarn that's kind of a manlier color or colors to knit for my boyfriend. And boy, did she like knock it out of the park. And she just, because I basically just said, surprise me. So she sent me 5 sets. Oh my gosh. And a surprise Christmas present in that box. Oh, I already told her, but I was so surprised and happy. I was like, oh my God. So anyway, This is the first one, and I was like, yep, socks for Adrian. I mean, look at those colors. How beautiful are those? And of course, she dyes self-striping yarn, if you didn't know that. And so they come with these pretty minis. This is her Night Sky colorway. And I mean, you could, obviously, you don't have to be a man or a boy for these. You could wear these as a girl, but I just thought he would love these. And like I said before, he'll wear anything. He's worn pink socks that I didn't like, so he just wears them around the house. He's afraid to wear them outside of the house. And then this one, this is called Santa's Coming Down the Chimney. So pretty. Yep. And I was like, oh, those can be fun socks for him too. I love that one. And then this one I think I will make for me. This is called Plum Zebra. He would wear purple, but I like this purple. It's beautiful, Anna, in case I didn't tell you that. This purple is just like, oh, gorgeous. So there's that one. And then, what is this one? Sleigh Bells. I think she had this in her shop on Instagram. I think I saw that. So that one's gorgeous too. I love her too. The Grinch ones are actually gonna be the first ones I've knit up with her yarn, but I've seen people knit with her yarn, and the two, what am I trying to say? The 2-row stripes, because it's just 2 colors that rotate for the stripes. I think that is so fun. So, I mean, I like other self-striping yarn too, but I think this is such a fun way to do self-striping. So, and then the last one, I don't know, Anna, you'd have to let people know, but she wrote this as one of a kind purple and green. And it's because I said I liked purple and green together, which I do, from when I talked about the Hocus Pocus shawl. I just think they look good together. So she dyed this as well. Blue and green and purple. And depending on how I make them, I could get 2 pairs of socks out of this. One for me, one for Adrian. So yeah, there's that. And then, so that's all the mail. I do have more mail, but it's not here yet. So I'll show that next time. So now I'm gonna talk about a little bit of shop stuff, not too much, but if you can see, I'll stand up real quick. Here is a sample that I got in the mail of my merch. It's just a sweatshirt. I actually fixed the graphic because for me, this was just too giant. I got this, and compared to my hoodie that I showed, oh my gosh, I was like, oh, Danielle, you need to fix that. So I sized it down a little bit and did that on all the clothing. So it's kind of the size that's on the hoodie, but it's mine, you know, and it's super soft too. It's just like the other one. I think the brand is Cotton Heritage. I think that's what I picked for both because I wanted something that was soft. I don't like, I mean, I know you can get like the cheap Hanes or the Gildan brand or whatever, but those are really like rough. Like if I'm gonna wear something that's supposed to keep me warm, I want it to be soft. And so me personally, I'm willing to pay a little bit more for that. So try not to let my coffee get cold. Okay. So I don't have any like huge shop updates. That's it. I added a couple of like, I got my sample coffee mug in the mail, which I showed on Instagram, but I did it wrong where the graphic was only on the front, which that was my mistake. So I redid it to where it'll be on both sides. So if you want a coffee mug with this on it, it'll be on both sides. It'll be right for what you order, not for what I ordered. So this is, I did a little experiment and I thought I would show it on here. I haven't showed it at all to see what people thought. So I watch Noble Character Crafts, Amy, on YouTube, and a couple of episodes ago, she showed the cutest little bag that she won as a prize in, I think, a giveaway or a knit-along or something. And so I asked her, because I went to the gal's shop that she mentioned, and I couldn't find the bag on there. And so I asked Amy on YouTube, I said, hey, what's the sizes of that? And so she gave me the size. And so I've been playing around with some of my scrap fabric that I had left over to see if I could basically duplicate the size because I thought it was cute. And this is the first iteration of it. How cute is this little bag? So this is my copper Christmas trees fabric that's in my shop. I have a couple of bags like this left, but, and then there's the inside. And I did put my traditional lobster clasp in there, and it does have it has a stitch marker on it. This is what I'm going to knit my present for my friend out of that I'm not showing until it's done. But anyway, I had some scraps of this twill tape that I use for the handles on my drawstring bags, and I just sewed those in there. So I need to work on the construction of it, but this is my first iteration, which it's very tall and slim. And it does fit a 50-gram cake, I will say that. But that's about it. And I was thinking of adding a snap in the middle instead of drawstrings, like the bag she showed. But I adjusted my sizing for my template, and so it'll be a little bit wider. It might be about like this, approximately. So you'll be able to fit a cake, probably a 100-gram cake in there comfortably, you know, and just be able to stick your needles in the middle of the cake. So, and that's this is more like a purse bag, or just at home, just, I don't know, something cute to maybe use up scraps. So if you guys like this, obviously I will show one when I get the final size figured out. A little bit of fuzz on my lip. And show it then, but I'm just going to use this for me. So, but I was thinking of just adding a snap in the middle, so it'll be like that, just for a closure. So obviously your yarn can come up out of one of these holes and it won't like fall over. So yeah, let me know if you like those. I'm just trying to experiment with like leftover fabric that I have, which, yeah, that kind of is, you know, I'm going to talk about that here in just a second too, but I wanted to talk about sock construction. So after doing these 4 socks, I will say this, these 4 socks are my first cuff down socks. Yeah, I know. I actually haven't been knitting socks for very long. I think I might have talked about that, but I started with toe up because to me, oh, I'm sorry, we're shaking. I knocked the table. I started with toe up because that just made more sense in my eyes. It was just like, why wouldn't you want to do it from the toe up? So anyway, I decided, okay, I want to try cuff down, see what it's all about, see if I like it. It was fine up until I got to the toe. So I'm definitely in the camp of, I can now definitively say, I hate the Kitchener stitch. I did it once, and I know people are probably like, you got to do it more than once. No, I'm one of those people that I can pretty much guarantee you, I know pretty much right away when I don't like something. It's not a try it a bunch of times, go from there. I hated it. I had been doing the Finchley graft. I did Kitchener on one, I did the Finchley graft on the others. If you don't know what that is, Roxanne Richardson has a video on YouTube, and I think the Chili Dog does too, on how to do it, and probably some other people. But it's actually easier. You flip the sock inside out, and then the pattern for the grafting, way easier to memorize. And I actually messed up the sock on the one I did the Kitchener on. Let me see if this is, see if I can show you. I think it was this one. Was it this one? Nope, it was this other one. I messed it up. Oh yeah, it was this one. I'll show it, and then I'll see if you can see this little ridge right there. See that little like gap, little V? That's not supposed to be there. So I'm pretty sure I missed a stitch on the Kitchener. And I didn't know how to go back and fix it. And the reason I don't like it, it's not just because of the way you have to do the Kitchener, the particular order of things. And for me, because I'm a magic looper, mostly. I've done some DPNs, but these I did these all in Magic Loop. And I would imagine this is the problem if you're using metal needles. When you're doing the stitches, you're grafting them and you're taking them off. Well, you can't just slide one. I was having a problem with my stitches almost falling off the needles, the ones that hadn't been grafted yet. And it got more fiddly the less stitches that were on there. And a couple times I almost lost all the stitches. And for me, that's like panic mode. So no, even with the Finchley graft, I still had that problem. So it was like, no, I don't think this is for me. I don't mind the construction of the cuff down socks, the heel flap and gusset. I didn't have an issue doing any of that stuff. I know a lot of people don't like cuff down because of that. For me, it's the toe closure and not knowing, like, if you want to change a pattern, because each pattern that someone puts out, they have knit to so many inches and then start your toe decreases, and their toe decreases are the amount you end up with are going to be different from maybe the shape that you want. So I had to do some math on some of these to figure out how long I needed to knit the foot before I started my toe to my liking. Not a big deal, but you know, it created a little bit more work than I wanted, which sounds lazy, but whatever. And so that kind of brings me to, I think I'm going to go back to toe up. I know, controversial. But I feel like toe up socks do not get enough love. And that's kind of a little bit of not a rant, but a little bit of a discussion, if you will. I don't feel like they get enough love in the community of sock knitters as a whole. I know a lot of people do toe up, but it's like, people are like, toe up. Or, you know, I prefer heel flap and gusset. Well, what I'm going to do, and I did these on a one sock experiment that I did. It was kind of a variation of a Flegel heel. But I'm going to do all these second socks. They're going to be matching, just not in construction. They're all going to be Flegel heel socks. I've watched a bunch of videos a long time ago, even recently, just to kind of refresh my memory. And for me, one, they're toe up, and I like the Turkish cast on. It creates a seamless, and that was another thing I didn't like either. I could feel the seam. Anyway, I digress. The Turkish cast on, you get a seamless toe. I just like that. I don't know. I just like that more in the ones that I've done. That just, because then I can try it on and see, okay, depending on the construction method and the heel that I'm going to do, when to start my foot, I can try it on and go from there. And with the Flegel heel, I mean, I know a lot of people like it or they don't like it, but from what I've read, why they don't like it is because it doesn't fit. Well, they're starting their heel at the wrong spot. So it's just a matter of experimenting for that, but I don't think I'll have any issue. So I didn't mention it, but like my Cozy Knitter Advent, like all the socks that I'm gonna do for December, those are all gonna be toe up. And I've watched a couple videos and where they do a contrast Flegel heel. And so I'm gonna try that out. So that's exciting. So I can still use the like the Granite State Yarns one or the Cozy Knitter. I can still have the alternating heels, toes, and cuffs for that. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. How, you know, everybody talks about how they love cuff down and this, that, and the other. I only liked it because it made a neat cuff. But I've been doing some research on YouTube and watching a bunch of videos and found a few that talk about some of the issues that I have, like when I would knit the cuff when I was doing some toe-up socks before, is my ribbing would be all loosey-goosey and the stitches wouldn't look even. Oh. But I found one from Nimble Needles. If you watch him on YouTube, he has some great knitting technique videos as well. He actually just, I don't know if it was a new one or not, I can't remember, but it talked about how to have neater ribbing. And basically the tip is, you know, you have your knit 2, purl 2. Well, when you get to that first purl, you give the yarn a little bit of a tug. and then you move on. You know, you don't have to do that with the knit stitches or the second purl, but it's that first one, because you have some extra yarn, there's like, it creates like a gap. So you have looser stitches and your ribbing doesn't look as neat. So I can't wait to try that. And then I was watching a Very Pink Knits video where she shows a stretchy bind off that I hadn't seen before. I'd seen a variation of it, but hers is just a tiny bit different. And she showed 3 samples, and hers didn't look as flared as like people complain about Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. It becomes really flared on the top, and not that it matters when you're wearing the socks because you can't tell, but I'm going to try that technique as well. And the Flegel heel, I don't know if back to that for a second, but if you've never seen the Flegel heel, or it's a gusset sock. So you increase for the gusset on the back needle, and then you basically just do this giant heel turn. And with all of these, I didn't have any issues with the heel turn since I implemented doing a, instead of doing a slip-step knit, doing a slip knit pass. That's really tightened up, you know, and made my heel turns look tidier. So, and then you can do, I mean, and if you watch videos on how to do 2 at a time toe up with the Flegel heel, oh my gosh, it looks worlds easier to do those 2 at a time than doing 2 at a time cuff down, in my opinion. So I'll talk about that more as I go through the process and show them on Instagram and stuff. If you don't follow me over there, that's where you'll see updates, but I'll talk about it on here next time and hopefully have some progression. And for me, when, you know, I was remembering doing my toe-up socks because I've done quite a few experimental toe-up socks with different heels, but doing those versus these cuff down ones, for me, I think, if I'm remembering, they went so much quicker. Like, I think it's because you don't have to do a heel flap, basically. You don't have to pick up any gusset stitches. Not that I had an issue with that. That wasn't super hard for me, but I would rather increase than decrease. So that's another reason why I like toe up. And for my toe up socks, when I started doing them, I never did the make one right, make one left, knit front back. I hated all of those. That just seemed so much more complicated than it should be. Like that, I was like, there has to be an easier solution to this. It's a yarn over. Like, if you watch the Lofty Loops, I mentioned her yarn, I have her yarn. She has a video on how she does her toe-up socks, and that's how I learned to do it. It was a Turkish cast on, and she uses yarn over increases for her toes instead of any of the other ones, and it looks just as good. Yeah, and you always are gonna know when you need to either increase or not. If you come to a yarn over, you're doing a regular row. If you come to where you should have an increase and you don't, you increase. So it's super simple, and you don't have to worry about increasing or not increasing at the wrong time, et cetera, et cetera. And then on the ones I'd done previously, I did yarn overs for my increases in the gusset area on the one sock that I did that had a kind of a Flegel heel. And it worked out fine. I much preferred that method. Oh my gosh, this was such a bad idea. I much prefer the yarn overs. So I don't know why those don't get talked about either. People don't really talk about toe-up socks. I don't get a lot of love. And the yarn overs for increases don't get a lot of love. I think they work perfect. Okay, so one thing I forgot, excuse me, forgot to talk about that I mentioned in the intro was about Ravelry. Lauren and I from Granite State Yarns, we were kind of, chatting in Instagram threads about this, but I'm not really a fan. Oh, I know. I like it for pattern searching or inspiration, and maybe it's just because I haven't played around with it enough, but like I try to participate in summer sock camp and post stuff in the threads, but I can't figure out how to post pictures. I know that's kind of like, duh, just look it up. But that was one of them. And just kind of the overall interfacing of the website, because I do administrative work, so I'm on computers all the time. The interfacing is horrible. And I can't believe it's been around for this long and no one's like updated it to make it more user-friendly. To me, that's the main problem. It's not super user-friendly, in my opinion. I know you can use a search bar, search for patterns, etc. But just overall, I think it could be a better website. Just my opinion. And, I know if I decide to start designing patterns or things like that, that's going to be the place to post it, and that's what I would do. But for me, I prefer Instagram for discussions or posting my finished projects. And I know people that they like Ravelry because that's where you can put all of your project details, when you started, what needles you use, yarn, you can put your stash, etc. I don't feel the need to do that necessarily, but I don't know. Maybe in the future I'll change my mind on it, but if I'm doing kind of the same projects, like if I'm doing socks, I'm probably going to knit them the same way all the time, and I don't really need to know the needle size that I did for those socks unless I try something different. But then I guess I would just write it down. So anyway, I just wanted to, I know I said that in the beginning and I said that I would talk about it and I almost forgot. So anyway, I think that about does it. Yeah, let me know down below in the comments or message me on Instagram if you want to do like kind of a casual make along for January. Just to kind of I know someone else had talked about doing a whip down. But I don't know if I want to call it a whip down January, second sock January, because I think I'm going to have mostly socks that need second socks. So I'm thinking that's what I'm going to call it. And I might do a prize. I might not. I don't know. It just kind of depends on what the response is for participation. So yeah, I think that is going to be it for today. Thank you all for joining me and listening to my rambling self. Yeah, I'll see you next time. And again, follow me on Instagram if you want more updates on my projects as I go until I film again. And until next time, have a great day. Bye.